And kisses. Let me do some retweeting. Boom. Let me go ahead and toss this in Slack for the people interested. And IRC. Okay. Okay. You all set?
It's gonna get real ugly.
Welcome back. Episode 159 of PHP Ugly. And we've had a little bit of a hiatus, but we're back. I'm your host, Eric Johnson, and with me, as always, my loyal friend, Thomas Rideout.
Hello!
Thomas, it's been so long since we've spoken.
2 weeks, man. It's killing me.
I know. We have a very weird relationship because we are actually friends. And we do, from time to time, have conversations with one another. But because we do the show, we kind of like tiptoe around topics that we really want to discuss on the show so that it's a real experience for everybody involved. So things like what I did in LaraCon, things that have happened over the last couple of weeks, you and I really haven't had an opportunity to speak about it.
Right, I get out of the loop on it, and everyone else in the Slack chat is talking about it, and I have to shield my sensitive eyes.
So, obviously last week, New York City, LaraCon 2019, that was a focal point of mine. But before we get to that, we've been away for a couple weeks. I think it's just been like a sync-up thing for you and I, right?
Yeah. Yeah, teenagers cause that sort of standardized chaos that it's just a low hum, but sometimes it kicks in like tinnitus, and there's just nothing you can do to stop it.
I do remember. I do recall those days. So I can't even think of any topics I had on the plate to talk about. LaraCon was just so mind-blowing this year. Like I can't even think back before before my trip to New York. It just so many things hit me really hard this year at LaraCon. So let's go ahead and jump into that, I guess. First thing, you weren't there.
I wasn't there.
Which isn't completely surprising. You're not a social creature by nature.
No, I'm a bit of an indoorsman.
Yeah. We managed to take you to a couple of conferences. I think we took you. We met up at LaraCon one year. But I have to say, I was disappointed when I saw the rest of your team there.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed to find out that they were there too.
Did you not know they were going?
I did not know. I did not know that they were going. I've committed myself to PHP World this year. I saw their track, and I just want to get in on that. And the idea of New York for an agoraphobic person just did not hold the appeal that some may think it would hold. But
what's really funny is, so let's backtrack a little bit. First thing, everybody who came out and came up to me and said hello and said they listened to the show, you really don't understand the impact you have on me. I mean, I enjoy Thomas and I enjoy our conversations, but we could just as easily be having these conversations offline. We started podcasting it because we thought it'd be fun. It turned into a little bit of a grind, but we enjoyed doing it. But there's definitely those moments where it's like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to do this anymore. But man, when people come up to you like that, and it's not only that they were coming up and telling me how appreciative they were for doing the show, about how appreciative they were to have a fresh point of view on the Laravel ecosystem specifically. So this was a Laravel conference. I mean, we
see, that's the thing that confuses me, is that we would have fans at a Laravel conference.
I wouldn't call them fans. Listeners, for sure. No, very super nice. I mean, every time I go to these things, I'm pretty sure I've met everybody who listens to the show. And I mean, just people just come up to me and say, hey, I'm Andy from Louisville, which is actually somebody who I met. A guy named Andy from Louisville who was...
It's a weird last name, but I dig it.
Yeah, he's Sharon. He's from the Louisville clan. And he was just so extremely friendly. I mean, and it's so weird being in our position where we're almost having conversations with them, but it's like a one-sided conversation. Like they're listening to us talk, and we're not getting a response. So, Andy comes up to me, and he's all in. He's like having conversations with me, like we've been buddies for a year or two. I mean, he knows my position on things. He knows things we've spoken about. And I'm just meeting the guy, and I'm just like, you're my best friend today. So there was a lot. So and the reason I state that was because I don't know when it happened. So everybody who came up to me, everyone asked about you or John. Always you, occasionally John, right? And it was always like, hey, I was really hoping to see all you guys here together. And I'm like, we rarely are ever all at the same conference at the same time.
Yeah, it's like every couple of years, maybe.
Right. But at some point, I don't know if I tweeted it, or I don't know if I had said it to the person asking me about you. I said, yeah, I'm surprised. His boss is here. I didn't know his boss and his team were coming. He goes, and immediately you can see them connect the dots. You're like, wait, porn people are here? I'm like, oh yeah, if you listen to the show, you know that part about Thomas, don't you?
Yeah.
So that was entertaining.
The iris is slowly getting larger. Oh.
Man, just I met so many new faces. Jess from Australia. I mean, just across the board. I'm obviously horrible with names, but I also got an opportunity to. Excuse me. Hold on one second. Cut this, please.
No, this is the intro now.
Took one in my throat. But I also got the opportunity to meet up with people who, again, I've been having that like Twitter relationship with, or maybe they're in their Discord, or I talk to them on Telegram. And I've actually met like Jonathan Wheat is an example, right? I met Jonathan Wheat at previous LaraCons, but it's really been a very passing sort of, hey, I know you from Twitter. Oh, yeah, I know you from Twitter, and sort of thing. And he said this year, he's like, Eric, you and I are drinking a scotch together. And I'm like, you don't have to ask me twice, man. You want to do some scotch? You want to do some scotch?
Almost twisted your arm right off.
The man was true to his word. I mean, there was a night out, and we're all at a bowling alley, and he finds me in the crowd. He goes, we got to drink some scotch. I'm like, I cannot argue with that statement. So I finally got to drink scotch with Jonathan Wheat, and my kids, of all people, had their minds blown. So we're in New York. I'm there for the conference. My wife is there with me. My two daughters, my 21-year-old daughters, flew out. So the days of the conference, they flew out the day before, so like Tuesday. So while I'm at the conference, them and their mother, my wife, they're who happen to be the same person. they're exploring New York. They're going to spas and all that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I come home from one of the days from the conference, and my daughters come running up to me, and they're like, "Dad, somebody tweeted they met you." And I'm like, "What?" Like, somebody on Twitter tweeted out that they met you today. Now, I don't know if this is the first time this happened. I feel like this has happened before.
Yeah, that's happened plenty of times before.
But this is the first time they saw it. So Nino, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm actually not sure. You would know him if you went to his Twitter handle. He's if he's not the creator, he's one of the creators of Laravel 0, the trimmed down micro framework for command line programs. So he just tweeted something like, I got to meet Shokum at LaraCon, and my kids just thought that was like mind-blowing that somebody did that. I'm like, yeah, it happens from time to time.
Bought me a drink, hung out a while.
But then I got to catch up with all my regular. I meet once a year type people. Eric Barnes, him and I. We have this ongoing thing where we take a picture every year. Actually, T.J. Miller and his wife were there, and I typically like to go out of my way and spend some time with T.J. He's one of my favorite people in the Laravel community, but it just didn't happen much this year. There's just so many people. I mean, so about the conference in general, I could be nitpicky and say that there are a few things, but in general, across the board, very solid conference.
Did you see the giant billboard sign, the giant LED LaraCon sign in Times Square?
Well, it's kind of hard not to see it because you have to walk under it to go to the theater. Yeah, it's right there. I mean, it's like the PlayStation Theater is right there on the corner of Times Square. It's just right there. Matter of fact, I found out the last night I was there. We'd gone down to Times Square. My daughter and I had gone down to Times Square, and I found out that there was a subway stop right next to the PlayStation Theater. I had taken another stop that was like 3 blocks up because I thought that was the closest one. I'm like, son of a bitch, I've been walking 3 blocks every morning for no reason.
God.
But 900 people. Now, the auditorium itself was other theater, and the seats were awful. For myself, for my friends from Canada, from LaraChat, Sean, and we were just very, very uncomfortable. But this year, it was very nice, very roomy seats. 900 people in the auditorium was not an issue. The sound quality was great. The displays were fantastic, so that was good. It's the 900 people in the waiting room or in the little lobby area trying to get out or trying to get drinks or trying to do anything else was awful. It was so bad. And it's just a logistical thing. It's like it's getting to the point where it's like you're going to start to have these conferences at a freaking convention center, like something that's meant to handle the flow of this amount of people, because these theaters, they're just not designed. The ingress is there, everybody kind of shows up at different times and everybody goes in and grabs a seat, but like between talks, like the breaks for lunch, the bathroom breaks and all that, it's just a nightmare. It's just like 900 people now are out of the auditorium and into the surrounding areas that aren't designed to hold 900 people.
Right. Oh, we're getting notifications here.
We are getting some notifications. Eric, you're echoing. Why am I echoing? Alright, people, we will do some live troubleshooting.
Oh, yeah, you are echoing bad. Check your channels.
I have a suspicion I know what it is. Hold on.
Oh, was the music still going the whole time, too? It was, wasn't it? Now I can't hear Eric at all.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Am I still echoing though? So now we got to find out if I'm still echoing.
One sec.
Yep.
Now I can't hear Eric at all. Oh, there you are. Am I still echoing though?
Still echoing.
Still echoing. Oh, why OBS? Why are we having problems?
Is OBS picking up your mic from your streaming setup?
I'm not sure.
It's a separate computer.
No, it's not anymore. It's the same computer.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. But the mic is not configured on OBS at all. Oh, I wonder if it's okay, let's man.
I saw you have like hundreds of loops, audio loops running in different programs doing different things.
I know. I should share my screen. Just share my screen on OBS just so people can see everything I have going on. Let's see here. What do we have configured here? We have pass-through configured, which is correct. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I can change the mic to change the mic real fast on Skype. All right. Okay, now how many do you hear echoing now? Oh, I don't hear you now. Oh, shoot. Hold on 1 second. Okay, talk to me. I've totally lost you, Thomas. If you're making changes in your internet. Nope, it's just me. Awesome. This is so much fun. I'm so happy.
Wait, no. Am I back now?
Yes.
It was on my end. Ha 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 ha.
Hey, was I still echoing when I switched over?
Yes, and you're like really, really hot right now.
Thank you. I've been working on a little bit.
Those 3 blocks every day will get you.
That's right. Well, I can turn myself down. I mean, I don't know what that's going to do. I'm only seeing one audio stream in OBS. I mean, you're looking at OBS with me, right? It's just you, me, and Pretzel, which Pretzel is now muted. So there's, I don't know. This setup is not any different than what we've had. I wonder if I switch over to my single view, if that's any better.
Are we sure it's not the channels thing again?
Oh, that's right.
One channel for each of us?
We're not sure. We can go back to that. Let's see here.
Yeah, you've got all 3 channels. You've got us on. It should be one channel.
No, that's what we tried last time. It didn't work. You think you should want 2 or 3? I think it should be 3. You're not my real dad. I'm not gonna listen to you. All right. Let me. So that was just mine that was messed up. So I'm not even gonna worry about changing yours. Oh, yours is actually already set like that. Oh, I think it just set all of them like that. So, am I still streaming? Am my voice still streaming? That's because I did turn myself down. I turned myself up. I turned myself up on the stream. Oh. Oh, I sound horrible on the stream now. Oh, man. Okay, but see, now you're not on the stream. I sound better now that I turned myself up. Alright, let me fix that. Maybe I put us both on one.
Try it.
Alright, so now you and I are both on channel 1.
Check, 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 check.
This delay is... this is what kills me.
turn your gain down in your main app. Oh, there we go.
Oh, are you on?
Right. So now you and I are both on channel 1. Check.
All right, we both sound good. Although you've got to turn your gain down. Not in OBS. You got to turn it down on whatever your parent app is.
I can't turn it down anymore there. Hold on 1 second. Let me turn it down. I can turn it down here some. I mean, that's not really. That's the gate though. That's not the gain. I can't turn my gain down anymore, brother. My gain is all the way down.
Just lean back a little more then.
I can push it away from myself a little bit.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Sorry about that, everybody listening to the live show, but that's the bonus material you get when you listen to the live show. So who can tell me where I left off?
Well, we were talking about the venue, logistical issues of the venue. How was the Wi-Fi and like the workspaces?
Okay, yeah. So Wi-Fi was fine, no issues there. The workspaces was one of the nitpicky kind of issues. Not only the workspaces, but just seating in general. Like outside the auditorium, there was really nowhere to sit. There was a couple bars you could lean up against, but there was nowhere to sit. And like for me, I don't have, what are we talking about? 16 hours, two full days. I can't sit in an auditorium for 16 hours and watch talks without having to address business, right? I always have to address business to some degree, no matter how much I try to prepare for it. This year I was actually really good. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I only missed 1 talk. I might have missed 2 talks. But in that time, there's like nowhere to sit down to work. There's nowhere to sit down to take a call. It was unpleasant where I had to stand and because I wanted to be away from the auditorium because I did have to take a phone call. So I wanted to take myself away from the auditorium because I have a little bit of a voice. Matter of fact, this year, I think somebody actually tweeted it. It might have been Nemo, or he might have actually been the one that tweeted that. Yeah, that's actually how Shokum sounds. It's like I talk to Shokum, he actually sounds that way. I'm like, what does that mean? But even Andy from Louisville, he's like, I never watched the stream, but I heard you talking. I knew it was you. I'm like. Okay, I'm good with that. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just curious what it means.
Nothing at all.
But so yeah, I'd like to take myself away. So I missed 1 or 2 talks. But besides that, I mean, there's not much of a vendor area. There never is at LaraCon. I mean, there are a couple of vendors there, but I couldn't tell you who they were. I think PHP Storm was one of them. But Bugstang or Paper Trail might have been one. I don't know. I don't know who the vendors were there, to be honest. And that's a horrible. As a conference organizer, that's a horrible thing to admit because, that's one of your main revenue streams. But the conference itself, they did a couple things, or they did one thing different this year. So I'm on the fence about the single track. I used to love it back in Louisville when it was a much smaller conference. I loved the single track. This 900 people sitting in an auditorium where, I mean, there's not a lot of screaming. There's not a lot of any of that going on. So there's not, I mean, it's not that. It's just the single track with 900 people. I find it hard to believe that 900 people are interested in all the same talks. Now, they did. This has to be the most Laravel heavy LaraCon I've been to. Like the first day, I think maybe 1 or 2 talks were not Laravel focused. The second day, might have been about the same, maybe 2, maybe 3 talks, but there was so much Laravel focused presentation going on. I was actually very happy to see that, because that was one of my criticisms. Is like, I couldn't even think of a Laravel talk I'd seen, at like a previous one. So this one was very Laravel focused. They had 30-minute talks. So again, this is one of those format changes where myself, being a more advanced Laravel developer and somebody who's been in the ecosystem for a very long time, really appreciated the 30-minute talks. People got on stage, they dove headfirst into the deep end, talking about the stuff they were talking about, and again, as a seasoned Laravel developer who's been doing it for a while, I appreciated that. There were a couple talks I wish they had either formatted it differently and not try to say so much, or yeah. So Freck was one of the talks. He gives a talk at like every LaraCon, and basically his talk was how he does things differently. So he has some unconventional ways of coding in Laravel. So for example, he doesn't extend the base controller, for example. He'll just create a controller, not extend the base controller, because the base controller just has some traits that it uses, that it injects. So he says, if I need these traits, I inject these traits. But sure. He's going through all these things that he kind of does differently, and like, he's not explaining why, because he doesn't really have time to explain why. He's just kind of touching on, oh yeah, I do this, and for models I do that, and this and that. And I'm kind of sitting there, I'm like, okay, well, but why? Like, is it a performance thing? Is it, why are you doing that? And, it's like, there were certain times like that where I'm like, okay, this short format seems a little rushed. But other times where it was just like, I feel like I say this every year now. I say it every time I see the guy speak. J-Mac gives some of the best talks. J-Mac was there. He's the guy who does, he's best known for Laravel Shift. And he kind of did a similar talk that he did last year, which he kind of breaks down the analytics that he gets from doing Shift and says, okay, this is what I'm seeing in the wild. People are doing this and they should be doing that. Well, he did that talk again this year with updated metrics and all that, and in this new 30-minute format, and it was just fantastic. It's like, all right, you guys are doing this, but there are these helpers out there that you could be using. So you don't have to do it this way. You can do it this way. And his insight into real-world deployed Laravel applications that are in some stage of a life cycle that's being maintained is just so valuable. I mean, especially to me as a business owner who's trying to maintain different Laravel deployments throughout. Sitting down and just listening to JMac talk, I'm just like, oh man, we're doing that. Yeah, you're right. We shouldn't be doing that. That is, one of the mistakes that we fall into. That's one of the traps that we do. So I love his talks. JMac is fantastic.
I'm gonna have to get the videos.
Are there videos?
I believe there's gonna be videos again this year. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So there's that. Got to hang out with my friends from Canada. Like I said, Sean and Matt. The three of us. This is kind of our time to get together every year, where we stay friends, throughout the year, and we still talk in the LaraChat Slack channel. We're pretty close. I've gone up to Vancouver before to visit with Sean. Sean came down for Wave PHP. Matt and I, we're doing business together. Matt's the one that created Mission Control. DiegoDev, inherited Mission Control from him, and we're trying to make it a product. And Matt is still involved in that project. So he will have a financial interest as when we get the relaunch kind of done with it. But so we're really and it's so weird because we've gotten so busy. Matt is newly married. He brought his wife. I brought my wife, my kids. Sean was there with people he worked with. So it was like we found ourselves really struggling to get together and spend some personal time together, like go out to dinner or something. And the last day we were there, like the day we're all catching, well, myself and Sean were catching flights out. Matt stayed a few extra days. We literally spent like 15, 20 minutes in Central Park, all of us. My wife, kids, Sean, Matt, his wife, Cassandra, who's a fantastic person. Literally spent like 15, no more than 20 minutes in Central Park together. And it was like the best 15, 20 minutes of the entire trip. We finally all got together. We're just standing in Central Park, laughing, talking about stuff, taking inappropriate pictures of each other. It was awesome. So yeah, that was good. And then we had, of course, a lot of really earth-shattering, I think, announcements at LaraCon this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's been some pretty amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd like to think we had a little bit of a hand in one of my favorite things this year.
Again, the number of people who came up to me after Taylor confirmed that starting with Laravel 6, he was going to start following Simver. The number of people who came up to me who knew this was a big point of contention between us on the show and trying to use the Laravel framework was amazing. They're like, "How happy are you?" I'm like, "Pretty ecstatic."
Yeah, and this is. I mean, I know you're happy about Vapor as well. I don't care about Vapor so much. But yeah, PHP or Laravel 6 going to Semver is a big deal. We've talked about it nonstop the last few episodes. And yeah, I mean, this is the biggest step towards what I would say the enterprise component has been missing. Yeah, just got to stick that out there.
You're as bad as Michael Dorinda. Did you happen to catch Michael Dorinda pull me into a one-on-one podcast with him? And,
I did not.
Oh, you didn't see this? Oh, I will. I'll hunt it down and add it to the show notes. Yeah. So I ran into Michael. He came out for LaraCon and he's like, hey, we got to get together. I really have some questions now that Semver's been announced. What your thoughts are on that. So he calls me up. He got laid over in L.A. Man, he had a horror. I felt so bad for the guy.
I saw that.
Oh my God, he wasn't the only one. So many people, even Matt trying to get back to Canada. So many people ran into so many delays. We had a developer, Marcus, coming out from San Diego to New York. His flight out to New York got canceled, and he had to reschedule for the next day. But Michael won the trophy of most headache getting home, and he got a layover in L.A. for like a day or two. And so he calls me up on Skype, and he's like, "Hey, you got some time to talk?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So he calls me up on Skype, and it turns out he streams the whole thing. And he pulls out the enterprise card on me, so it was cool because we got to talk through what those components are, and yes, Semver definitely was one of them. But that was the question. Like one of the questions people were coming to me is, why did you feel Semver was important? And I was like, well, did you not feel like it was important? They're like, no, not really. I'm like, then why do you care? It's like, for the people it is important to for a reason. If it's not important to you, then it shouldn't matter. And I understood, and I think, it's one of the things Michael Dorinda echoed a little bit was the kind of the philosophy behind the numbering system for Taylor was just more than just the Semver approach. It was a very different framework. Like 3 Laravel 3 was a very different framework from Laravel 4, and Laravel 4 a very different framework from Laravel 5. And those milestones signified something to Taylor. And that's kind of what he was holding on to. And I think my point was, I think Semver will echo that again once he starts using it correctly. The thing is, starting with 6, he's going to start using Semver. So it's very possible you could see Laravel 6, and 6 months later, Laravel 7.
Absolutely.
That's a reality. That's a reality. But again, maybe not. Maybe Taylor will say, well, let's hold off on a couple of these features and build them up, and do more of a symphony sort of release where it's like, okay, a major revision will happen once a year. I'm not going to push. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. As long as he follows Semver, I'm going to be happy. So yeah, that was. And again, how many people knew that was a big deal to me was just fascinating to me. But yes, that was worth the conference to me just to hear. People are like, oh, you must feel, like you really, vindicated. And I'm like, I don't know, vindicated is a strong word, but yes.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Strong word, and it's the correct word.
So yeah, you mentioned Vapor, and again, another topic everybody knew. Not everybody. A lot of people who came up to me knew how much work I had been doing with serverless deployments, specifically around Laravel serverless deployments. And so when Taylor brought up Vapor, I think I have Vapor up here. Let's actually start sharing some screens here. Jeez, oh flip. Let me see. Okay. So when Taylor brought up Vapor, and Vapor is just like a orchestration service for serverless application deployment on AWS. So it's very specific. It's very niche. For me, it fits into my wheelhouse absolutely perfectly. I could not have been happier with this if I had paid Taylor to develop it for me myself. I mean, he checks all the boxes. So I keep feeling like I have to say this. We haven't seen this in the real world yet. I haven't actually used it yet. I'm hoping to get, I'm hoping to get bumped up the list to get out there and get using it. But if this thing delivers on just a portion of the stuff that Taylor thinks he has it configured to do, it's going to be fantastic.
Now, there was an interesting note about this today, too, is that there was an earlier project that he had started working on called Cloud?
Forge Cloud or something like that, right?
He called it Laravel Cloud, and he was attempting to build a Forge Pro. And eventually that's what Vapor became. But he finished the entire backend for Laravel Cloud and then released it on GitHub today.
Right, he released it today. Matter of fact, do you have that link handy? Or do you have it in Trello?
It's the big, ugly blob of text in Trello.
Wait, let me go. I'm just sharing the browser at this point, so we're going to pop over here. Right here. And let's jump. Oh, that's the tweet. Have you looked at this repo yet?
No, I'm not really sure what I would look at.
Well, it's interesting. This doesn't have the link, brother. Oh, there it is. So it's very interesting to see his coding style. We all kind of have our own coding styles. This is what caught me, because this drives me nuts.
The models.
It's not only models. Look at everything he puts in /app. Like, look at this. Like, some of these are models.
Oh God.
Some of them are.
Not.
I mean, what is wrong with this person? Why? obviously we know why he took away the models folder, but yeah, this was crazy to see.
He could get rid of all the folders with this style. I don't understand why there are folders.
He is such a organized person. Like if you ever look at his comments, his comments are notorious for how organized they are. His documentation is so clean. I don't understand this mindset right here. Like, why are you doing this? But yeah, I've forked this repo because I mean, if nothing else, I'm going to look at how he approaches things and how he tackles problems, and it's very
interesting. Can you tell from this?
Sure. You can definitely see.
There's a trait in there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And he's actually doing a find or fail right here in the controller. Yeah. So it's it's educational. It's cool to see. I don't know how functional this is. So he did release this as open source.
He says the full back end is functional, but there's no front end.
No front end. Okay.
And looking at the controllers, it looks like he built it via API first.
Oh yeah, you can see that. Matter of fact, I don't think he has any controllers.
He has all the controllers for the API. So I believe that if you wanted to, write a controller that handled that, or write views for it, but there's no views.
Hmm. Yeah, this is cool, man. I mean, everybody should take this opportunity to look at how he puts together, because this was a product to him. This is something that he was looking to make money on. So if you're curious about how he puts together his products, this is a good little sneak peek into the mind of Taylor. So yeah, that's cool. But that's not Vapor. Vapor is, oh my God, so much more special. And I cannot.
Well, yeah, he said Vapor is twice the size of Cloud.
Vapor is one of those services that, like, he's doing things in it where I'm like, how? But how are you doing that? Because he says he's doing a point in time restore of databases, which I know how to do database backups in AWS, but a point in time restore, I don't know. I am excited. Him and I had a little bit of a sidebar on during the conference, and I told him, I'm like, hey man, if you need me to write you a check today, I will write you a check today. Just get me into Vapor. And he's like, I can't. He's like, I can't get you in today, but I'll let you know when we're getting closer and see where you're at on the list.
They said, what's the name? Eric Van Johnson? Yeah, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the back of his head, he's like, yeah, I'm going to get you right in there, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah, right in there. But, so one of the challenges for anybody that's listening, one of the challenges that him and I were talking through was deploying existing applications to Vapor. So Vapor is really good for a greenfield app that you're just deploying. But if you have an existing application, there are some challenges involved. And they're not challenges that can't be overcome. I mean, trust me, if he can code this, we can figure out a way to overcome migration issues between a deployed existing Laravel app and migrating it into Vapor. The database, for example, isn't even the issue. The biggest issue are the assets and how assets are handled in a serverless environment. So anything that you store locally needs to become an asset on S3. It's got to learn how to map it correctly. So that is really the crutch of the problem with migrating from a server to serverless with an existing Laravel app. And again, I think it's something that either somebody will write a package for, or it'll be figured out here, probably like a month or two after people start getting into Vapor, because that's going to be a real use case that people are going to want to do. So I think it'll be figured out. I'm hoping to figure it out. I have a couple applications that we're going to deploy fresh, but then I think I will try to see what it takes to migrate an existing app over and maybe
and that'll be
help
important
people
because
out.
I know that my team is looking at this now too. So
It's interesting.
we'll want to hear where you guys land on this.
I had a long talk with your boss too about this.
I know.
Your boss tried to have me knocked off. I think he said he was taking me to dinner, and we ended up taking an Uber like to Jersey. I'm pretty sure he was going to kill me. I had to jump in another Uber and leave them. I was getting a little concerned, but
Well, Jersey's got the best strip clubs. Well, the best value proposition.
We had a long conversation, your boss and I, about some of the stuff. But that wasn't even it. So we talk about Simver. We talk about Vapor, right? I mean, these are two massively release new things. Did you hear? I call this not the underdog. That's a terrible thing to call it. Matter of fact, I should actually pull it up here. Did you hear about Laravel Livewire? Did you hear about this?
No, nothing.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So this talk was given by the creator. What is his name? Because everybody loves this guy in the Laravel community, and I always forget his name. His name is Caleb. Everybody loves Caleb in the Laravel community. Caleb, you are very loved in the Laravel community. Caleb created the Livewire framework. That is a package that you install into Laravel. And I was trying to explain this to John, and I struggled. And I'm worried I'm going to struggle with you as well. But think of it as adding JavaScript dynamic content to your website without coding JavaScript. So basically, it's JavaScript under the hood, but you as the developer, you don't have to worry about any of that. Specifically, you as a Laravel developer, you don't have to worry about any of that. All you end up doing is you create, as I've got the website here for those listening to the podcast, so I'll try to remember that we have people not watching, but all you do is you create these Livewire components that have the logic of what you want done in them. And then you create these Livewire views to interact with that logic. And Livewire has the bindings for all this. And that's it. You're done. You don't write a line of JavaScript, and you have dynamically produced code in your application. Let me see if I can. I actually have this. I don't want to take the time to bring it up here live, but I ran through all his tutorials, and I actually started working out some interesting use cases for myself. But this is a big deal. So this is if you don't want to add Vue to your application, for example. Like maybe you don't have a lot of need for JavaScript, but you do have a couple of small components, a couple places where you want some dynamic kind of feel to it. This is perfect for that. And it is just very, very cool. This was announced at LaraCon this year. I've been listening to him on a podcast talk about the development of this. And I'm like, wow, if he does this, this will be pretty slick. And it's interesting because so this is not doing DOM injection as you would expect, like what Vue does. It's not doing DOM manipulation. It is actually replacing chunks of HTML code on the page, but you're not having to refresh the page or anything. This is just happening. And the example that he showed on this is, he's like, actually, GitHub does this today. And he was running through the GitHub page, and he was showing where, as you're clicking on things, GitHub is not manipulating the DOM; it's just injecting HTML. I'm like, what? That's a thing. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know you could do that. And so that's what a lot of this Livewire is built around. It's not DOM manipulation, and it's just like, this is awesome. So for me, I enjoy Vue, but I still struggle getting my head around it, and I don't code in Vue every day. So when I need to go to something like Vue for like one little component, like, oh yeah, we just want to keep track of a count, for example. Like, let's just say you want to know the count of cars in your database. Okay, in Vue, you have to get Vue installed and blah blah blah, and get them binding together. And not that it's extremely hard, but if you're not doing it every day, you can stumble around. With this, you write a controller that gets you a count of all your car's model, and then you write a Livewire component for your Vue to display it. And then you write a little refresh so it refreshes every 2 minutes, and you're done. That's it. You're finished. I love Livewire. And Caleb, I may owe you dinner next year at LaraCon if I end up using this, because this looks like it's going to be a massive time saver for me and for a lot of people out there who just who don't necessarily love coding with JavaScript, but yeah, Livewire, man, check Livewire out, Thomas. And
I'm gonna have to check out some of these videos.
Yeah, Livewire was fantastic. That was the other one that's just blew me away. It's like I saw this, I'm like, I got to get my hands on this right now. Unfortunately, he released it there at LaraCon. So this is exciting. Livewire is very exciting to me. Vapor is super exciting to me. Simver is just mind-blowing exciting to me. I was very happy. So you want to hear something weird?
I'd love to.
Like I said, the most Laravel talks I saw at a Laravel conference, I think I missed 1 or 2 talks while I was taking care of business. Unless it happened in those 1 or 2 talks, I don't think they talked about what's coming in Laravel 6. Like, there was so much excitement around all these other things, and Laravel 6 is the next release of Laravel now. That got announced because that's where Simver is coming from. I
think that's the big thing.
What's that?
I think that Simver is the big thing for Laravel 6. Is that it's just
but I mean, there's always new stuff, right? I mean, it's never just that. Yeah. So I don't know if they talked about it. They may have talked about it, to be completely honest with you. I could have just missed it. It might have been one of those times I was out having to take care of other business, but I couldn't tell you what's coming in Laravel 6, and I don't know if I care anymore, because I have the pieces in place that I need. So he can add whatever he wants to Laravel 6. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I just ran Shift for Laravel 5.7 to 5.8, and let me tell you, that's a pleasant experience.
Are you being sarcastic, or are you being serious?
That really was very pleasant. I ran the Docker version. We don't use GitHub for our projects, so I got the Docker Laravel Shift.
Your boss was actually, I put him together with JMac at the conference to talk about that, and that was one of his concerns. That's awesome.
So we got that going. It probably took me 3 hours total to do the shift and then validate and then make the recommended changes, and boom, that was it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was really nice. We've done it on 2 of our monolith projects now, so it's handy.
That's got to feel good too, right? Because I mean, you had to have been a couple of versions behind on those things.
I believe we were only 1 version behind.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but it was nice to not have to scour the docs 8 times to make sure I didn't miss anything. It was nice to have it auto-docked for me, because it generates an MD file that says, here's the things that I may have or definitely missed, and here's how you check for them and update to the latest stuff. And it had links directly to the files that had changed and what the new contents of them were, and it was very handy.
That's JMac. That's JMac, man. That guy is a smart cookie, I tell you.
I did have one issue with it, and I sent him an email saying, like, hey, I'm having this issue, and he responded within, I would say, 3 minutes. It was a little ridiculous. I was hoping to like have a long lunch, but he instantly got back to me.
Yeah. He's a smart character, man. I enjoy it. I mean, I just enjoy talking to that guy. He's so full of information and insight, and especially when just in development in general. But then you start drilling down to Laravel stuff, and it's just crazy what he knows.
I mean, he'd be the one to know it. He's the one who writes the Laravel shift stuff. So
yeah. Yep.
Oh man! I got another thing, an update, a long time update coming. I am no longer using Synergy.
No? Your battle with Synergy is over?
Yes, and Synergy has lost. When I upgraded my machine to Windows, I noticed that the Synergy client running on my Linux machine would just lock. It would stop responding to mouse and keyboard input for 10, 15, 20 seconds. I ran some tests to show that the system was still running fine. Maybe it had a little bit higher load than normal, but Synergy was just dead in the water. Looking it up, couldn't find anything that had resolved the problem for anybody except for switching to Barrier, which is the fork of the original open source client of Synergy.
Oh, interesting. I was not aware of what that was called.
Yeah, so there's a team that is now running the Barrier group. They are still operating as an open source team. They are still maintaining the code base, and it works better than Synergy does, even the most updated version.
Do you have a URL?
Let me pull one up.
And actually, my Firefox looks like it is taking a absolute crash on me.
So this is the team is Debauchee, and
let me see if I can get Firefox back online with me here.
And yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. It actually works, and they're actually updating it. It appears to be updating it more frequently than the Synergy team, which is getting paid to update it, is updating.
Interesting.
Firefox,
you are disappointing me, Firefox. I am trying to switch over to you, but when I can't get you, this is so simple. Why are you not opening?
Now, one thing is that it is on FlatHub. And my experience, FlatHub is a flat pack builder cross-platform.
Oh,
I did not enjoy the experience.
really? Mm-hmm.
But once I got it working, it works.
Interesting. Yeah, Firefox has just completely decided to stop working for me,
Perfect.
which is very disappointing. Let's see if I can't switch over to Chrome real fast. Did you see the new toy I have?
No.
Oh, did you not see my tweet? Brother?
I get hundreds a day. How can I keep up?
I told you I was probably going to do this, and you told me don't. I'm an idiot, and I refused
like
to
me.
listen to you. Yeah, I refused to listen to you, so I didn't. I got an external GPU for my my MacBook.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so this is only day 2, and this has been like the first real test I've been running with it. So typically before the show I reboot my laptop, I shut down all my external processes, and then I try to host it. Uh, and that's a recent change. We talked about this a few weeks ago, where before I was running OBS on my laptop, and I actually did my show and everything from the trash can Mac. But I've recently have let go of the trash can Mac. I have it in a closet here at the office, where I'm still accessing it through remote desktop, but I don't use it anymore. So for the last 2 or 3 shows that we recorded, I was doing everything off the laptop, and it performed okay. It didn't perform fantastically. This is my H-top running right now. I got a pretty hunky laptop, but typically I would close down all my applications and do a fresh reboot, close down all the applications I'm not using, and just open up stuff specifically for the show. And
a habit we got into.
Yeah, today I did not do that. Today I just let it run. So this is the second or third day I've had the external GPU. I have noticed a significant difference from running it just day to day. Like I don't have any I don't have any issues with it when I'm running it during the day. Whereas typically I would have freeze issues at least once a day. Something would hang, or I would have to reboot my laptop. I hate this. This is why I stopped using the freaking Mac laptops. They drive me fucking crazy. And I've been using the trash can Mac because it seems to handle my workload better. But I've been wanting to get back to just using the laptop and the external GPU. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about, so I went ahead and invested in one, and it is doing very well. I am very happy with its performance so far. So
I got a new toy.
What did you get?
I got an RTL SDR.
What is an RTL SDR?
So SDR is a software-defined radio.
Oh, interesting.
And RTL is the chipset that's used in one of the more common, inexpensive RTL SDR or SDR receivers. And this thing is so fun. I mean, if you want to act like a hacker and show off to your friends, this thing is just the most adorable little gadget. It maps out a broad range of radio signals in real time, as peaks and valleys and all that stuff, and you can tune in to any signal in a very wide spectrum. I mean, let's see, the one that I have is 500 kilohertz to 1700 gigahertz.
So what else can you listen into with that?
So the software out there for it tells you a lot of what you're listening to, but I can go anywhere from AM radio or shortwave radio all the way to network traffic over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth traffic in my area.
What's this called again?
RTL-SDR.
RTL-STR.
DR.
DR. Okay.
Yeah. So let's say it says 500 kilohertz to 24 megahertz with direct sampling, and then failing due to heat at 1.2 gigahertz, 25 megahertz low pass filter. I mean, it's just cool when you start messing around with this thing and seeing signals around your neighborhood, or unlocking your car with your key fob and recording it and playing it back. Stuff like that. Like, one of the things a lot of people do is take these simple home automation things that use RF and create scripts that play RF signals back over the air through the computer.
Mm-hmm.
So you can record and then play back a signal, and as long as it's not encrypted or authenticated in some way, it'll work.
Interesting.
So stuff like garage door receivers, I can pick up on all the garage door receivers in my neighborhood and then play them back anytime I want to. So
I'm sure your neighbors are so happy to hear that.
well, I don't do that.
Is this? Did you buy this off Amazon, or what did you buy exactly? I see this RTL SDR thing is a whole genre of stuff.
Yeah. So the one I bought is the RTL SDR V3 kit, $30, and it comes with 2 sets of dipole antennas, a suction cup mount, a tripod mount, the SDR USB thingy.
Is this on Amazon? Where am I going to find this?
Yeah, the first one, Amazon's Choice, when you look up RTL-SDR.
I'm looking it up right now. Real time. There we go. Oh, I see it right here. So the $30 thing?
Yep.
Wow, look at all this stuff.
Yeah, and all the software for it is out there and freely available, and you just get some crazy stuff out of it.
Man, this reminds me of war driving. Is it kind of like that?
It's very similar. So this all started because I found a guy who made a Wi-Fi hacking suitcase out of a Raspberry Pi, RTL SDR, and a battery. And this briefcase has all of the penetration testing stuff you would need. If you have Kali Linux, you have all the software you would need. Mm-hmm. There's lots and lots and lots of stuff. Software designer, demodulate AM/FM, SSB. A lot of crazy stuff.
That's cool, man.
And the more you play with it, the more you learn how to use it, then the more you're capable of doing.
What have you done anything fun with it yet?
I've just scanned through the Air Force signal range and listened to the local Air Force base make call-outs and stuff to the airport that's around here. You can pick up all sorts of police and fire radio signals. It doesn't do trunking, which is something that you need separate hardware for. That's very specific to police and fire departments. But if there's an open band, then you can use that. And then just generally learning how RF stuff works, learning that FM signals are on a 2,000 hertz or a 200,000 hertz wavelength. So you have to capture not just the signal, but the whole width of the signal.
Mm-hmm.
Shortwave is like 10 hertz total length. So you have to have a very narrow band when you're searching for stuff on that. And just I mean, it's something to learn and play with and have fun with. But it's pretty crazy.
Cool.
One of the things I want to get set up, and they just updated the software package for it, is that there are a couple satellites that were launched a few years ago that send the satellite imaging data back to terrestrial Earth in unencrypted RF signals. So you can just say, run the program and start picking up raw satellite image feeds from these weather satellites. Nothing too practical, don't get me wrong. But definitely a fun new little hobby to have.
Fun stuff. Fun stuff.
And cheap. I mean, $30.
Yeah. All right. Where are we at in time? I feel like we've been talking forever and a day.
I have one last thing.
Go ahead.
We've talked about Microsoft's recent slate of acquisitions. And
are they buying Ubuntu yet?
Not yet, but they bought something very surprising today. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but the streamer Ninja.
I heard about this. I thought that was fake. Yeah.
Streamer Ninja, who is currently the world's most famous streamer, video game streamer, is now streaming exclusively on Mixer, which is the Microsoft branded Twitch.
And is that even released yet? I'm not even sure what a Mixer is. Should we be streaming on Mixer? Is that where we need to go?
Looks like we might have to. I mean, they're buying talent.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, they can buy us for cheap. Has anybody
very
cheap. Know that?
We have a Patreon.
Exactly. Yeah, we do. We have a Patreon here. Microsoft we'll create a level specifically for you, Microsoft, and we'll add you to our list of fantastic Patreon supporters.
The $30 level.
Yeah.
There's rumors that this contract extends into the area of $100 million a year.
Oh, I mean, if you know how much Ninja is making just grinding it himself on Twitch, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. I mean, he had said at some point that he wouldn't even come to the table for less than $100 million.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
So
there you go.
We will go for
Microsoft. You need a strong PHP podcast on your slate. So give me a call. Let me know. We'll talk. That's something like people are coming up to me like, so what are your numbers like on the podcast? I'm like,
I don't know. Just looked that up for the first time today in a long time.
I looked it up today as well because I knew I was going to talk about it. I'm like, I should look at that and see where we're at. It's all right. I mean,
it's pretty good. We've got 400 people per episode.
I don't think you're reading that right. I think we only have like 100 unique downloads, is what it says.
No.
Matter of fact, here, we'll pull it up. I'll pull it up. We'll pull it up live. Let's look at this live. If you're watching the stream, this is why you watch the stream. If you're not watching the stream, this is why you should watch the stream.
Well, we're getting 35-ish.
Simplecast.com. And we'll just pop over there real quick. And we'll let everybody take a look. First thing, this new interface, I'm with you now. I'm not digging the new interface.
Garbage. The audience button, which does the analytics, is now a paid service.
You have to pay extra for it. Yeah. Is that bullshit or what, man?
That's bullshit.
So So here we are, PHP Ugly. It's coming up on the stream if you're curious. So we have almost 50,000 all-time downloads. Somewhere, I'm telling you, somewhere here I saw unique.
We've got unique
downloads.
Listeners the last 7 days. We've got 79 in the last 7 days, but we didn't publish for 2 weeks.
Right.
If you look at our numbers on a per episode basis, we're at about 400 per episode.
Oh, this is surprising. Man, I've got to come in here more often. The Longhorn Peace Summit is our #1 show, which is interesting. I wonder what we talked about in that show. That was episode 103. That's an old one. That's crazy.
That was when you guys were planning Wave, and we announced it. And you discussed being at Longhorn PHP and working as assistants there and getting fired.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, I don't know, Thomas. I feel like I came in here somewhere and said, oh, okay, well, then that must mean that we only have about 100 unique listeners. But I honestly couldn't tell you where I saw that at. But yeah, in general, these are all pretty small numbers. I mean, the reality of it is these are, of all the podcasts out here, I mean, we're pretty low as far as. Oh, here you go. Unique visitors last 7. Oh, you're right. It does say last 7 days, and we haven't published in the last 2 weeks. So that's fair.
I mean, that's pretty good for not having published in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, I have to pop in here more frequently because this was a common question. A lot of people had this question, and I didn't have an answer because we really don't care that much about the numbers, and it really doesn't mean a whole lot to us.
Right.
It's interesting. This map's not coming up. This is my favorite part. So look at this map. I wonder why that's not coming up.
Well, that was interesting too because you mentioned a listener in Australia, and I pulled up the map, and we have no listeners in Australia.
Oh, I know we have one for sure. I know we got one person down there listening. But yeah, I think
not this week. Let's see, last 3 weeks. There we go.
Apparently we're
there
not.
We go. A Melbourne listener, 2 Brisbane listeners, a Dunwich Hill listener.
Yeah, I need to buy them all a drink.
I mean, we can. That's
I mean,
not much.
It's well within our budget, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why this map isn't generating for me. That's frustrating. Well. Yep. So this is for all those who were interested. This is what the analytics, and these are very basic analytics. I honestly don't know how these analytics tie into iTunes or Spotify, so I can't be sure how, if these are good, if these aren't good, or if they're accounting for all of our streams. But this again, it's not something we are overly concerned about, so we really don't keep that close of an eye on it. But I'm sure.
Don't get Eric wrong. We do care about the fans.
Listeners. We have listeners. We don't have fans. We have listeners. And yes, I absolutely love talking to the listeners, man. But yes.
Okay, well, I will call you fans when I meet you.
You don't think that's weird? You can't call them fans. Would you want to be called a fan?
I would call my wife a listener, like, because she hears me, but she doesn't necessarily subscribe to my feed.
That is probably one of the best points you've made. That's a very valid argument.
I mean, like, you were getting freaked out the other week because you found out that your wife was a fan.
Oh,
and that was crossing an emotional boundary from listener to fan.
That's true. That's very true. That was a different. That's. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I feel weird about it. I don't. I guess I don't know. I don't know. I just call people listeners, but yeah. Oh
Well,
man.
my ego is much larger than yours.
Well, if it's that big, you should go to some of these conferences, man. I mean, people will just come up to you and shake your hand and want to take pictures with you. It's awesome.
But the problem with a big ego is how fragile it is. It's like an overfilled balloon.
All right. Anything else to talk about? I'm looking at my notes. We talked about it all. We talked about Semver. We talked about Vapor. Oh, one interesting side note from LaraCon, if for those of you that are interested in this sort of thing, because I noticed this, and not many people would notice it. Typically, when you go to LaraCon, all the coding demos or any sort of coding demo is Sublime. Like Laravel is a heavy Sublime using community. This year, I think it was pretty evenly broken out between Sublime, which still makes a presence, PHP Storm, which was there in quite a few presentations, and VS Code was actually heavily utilized as well, including Adam Levin did his whole talk. If I'm not mistaken, he was using VS Code. So yeah, we had a nice little representation of different code editors this year as well. It was a good conference, man. I'm telling you. I don't know what he's going to do next year. That was again one of the things we talked about. Like, what's next year's plan? He's like, yeah, we'll figure it out. They keep growing. I thought for sure, and this is the weird thing about it. Laravel US is not the only Laravel conference by far. I mean, they have LaraCon EU, LaraCon AU, which are like the other two big ones. There's a LaraCon in India. I believe there was a LaraCon Online. I believe there's a LaraCon England this year. One specifically for England, I want to say. I could be wrong on that. But there are LaraCons all over the place now, and LaraCon US is still pulling in, 900 people in New York City. This is not a cheap conference. I mean, the conference itself is not expensive, but to go to New York City, to get a hotel room in New York City, that is not cheap. His logistics that he needs to work out is just going to be challenging. Unfortunately, it sounds like he might have a designated conference organizer now. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. He teased me. I think he was fucking with me a little bit, but he teased me a little bit. He goes, I don't know, maybe it'll be in LA. I'm like, come on, don't say that to me. You know I'm going to repeat it. Don't say that. But I don't know. I don't know where it's going to be. It was funny because we were both reminiscing of the Louisville days. I mean, Louisville was like Taylor said that he really wants to recapture Louisville in the sense that there's a conference hotel, and there's the conference itself isn't that far from the hotel because. Like I said, with the PlayStation and the 900 people trying to hang out after each day and have a drink was crazy. I mean, it just couldn't be done. Whereas before, everybody might sneak up to their room if they need to during the day, but at the end of the day, everybody went back to the conference hotel and. If you were spent, you went to your room. Otherwise, you hung out at the hotel bar or in the lobby, and there was plenty of places to run into people and have conversations and talk to them. And he really wants to recapture that feeling. So it's cool that he's thinking about that because that hasn't happened since Louisville.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can do that, but logistically, I don't know what that looks like. I don't, unless you finally break down and you start doing like a Vegas thing. There aren't too many places that can handle, 900, 1,000 people, and then everybody be in a hotel at the same time. It's just that's just a lot of bodies to try to manage.
Well, and those venues are going to start getting real pricey.
Exactly, right? That's the other point. Yeah, it's like when you start looking at that level, it's like going to enterprise software, man. Those prices jump very quickly. One more jab.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Clearly, Eric is done with this episode.
That's going to be it for tonight. This has been episode 150. What did we say? 9? 159.
9.
PHP Ugly, my friend, and we seem to get uglier and uglier as the weeks go on. And I would not want to do it with anybody else but you, Thomas.
Oh.
I have been your host, Eric Van Johnson.
I'm Tom Rideout.
Keep it ugly. I don't know, you put your hand up like you're going to do something. I wasn't sure. I reached out to touch it. I'm going to get the music going again.
I'm getting thrown off by seeing my own movement.
It messes with your head, right?
Kill your recording, too.
Oh, right. All right, got a little music playing. Oh, I got to get that going on the stream again. Do you hear the music?
Yes.
Alright, let's get my desk back to a normal level. People don't even understand the small things we do for the stream. I moved my desk so I have more eye level.
I'm gonna have to try OBS on my machine now that I have Windows.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, this eGPU, fucking awesome.
Well, what did you get?
So I ended up getting. Well, I put it. Yeah, I meant to. I shared it the Twitter stream, but I look at my Twitter stream. I got the Razer Core Chromia Aluminum external GPU enclosure. So that's just the enclosure.
Right.
The graphic card. Right. The graphic card itself is a Radeon RX Vega 56.
Oh, that's not bad.
Oh, and of course I went with this enclosure because I can upgrade the card if I wanted to spend more money.
I'm looking at buying a new video card soon.
Yeah, I don't know how well. So from what I've heard, it works flawlessly with the Mac. Like you just plug it in, the Mac recognizes it, it starts using it. You don't have to install any software or anything. I hear it's a little more challenging with Windows, where Windows has to maybe you would install some software, and then on Linux it's even a little bit more challenging, where people have written these custom scripts to make sure it mounts correctly and all that. But all in all, it's pretty nice. I'm getting some weird quirkiness. So the case I went with has a kind of a built-in hub, a USB hub, and it has a network port. Well, the network port just doesn't work. I need to call support and say, hey, what's the deal with this? The USB hub, I don't know, it's weird. Like the first day I had it, I had just plugged in my other USB strip into it, so I didn't have to think about it. And I have some drives that kept going offline. They say, hey, you didn't eject your drive correctly. I'm like, I didn't eject my drive at all. And that kept going on for a while. That was yesterday, but I didn't have that problem at all today. The problem I had today is my mic is no longer reporting as a Yeti. It reports as advanced audio systems. I'm like, wait, what the hell is this? And so everything I had set up wasn't working anymore because it couldn't find the Yeti mic. And of course, I didn't realize that it had, for whatever reason, running it through this new hub was giving it a different name, and that was fun.
There is an Ethernet driver for Mac OS that you have to have.
You're awesome. Can you send me a link? Have not looked it up yet.
It's on Razor's support page now.
I'm about to turn my Dropbox back on, so if I start breaking up, that's why.
Let me find it real quick.
That's great. I'll have to hunt that down. Because I still hardwire, like when we're streaming, I still hardwire the network into it because it just, for performance. So yeah, if I can get a driver to get that working, that'd be great.
Core X Chroma.
Yeah. Somebody was asking me how long we've been doing this, Thomas, and I could not give him an answer.
2.5 years.
Really? It has to be longer than that, right? If there's 52 weeks in a year.
It was right before.
It has to be longer than that.
It was right before I moved.
There's 52 weeks in the year. We just did episode 159, and we have not done it every week. So we've gone a week. We've skipped weeks. So it has to be at least 3 years. It has to be. The math doesn't work out any other way. At some point, I will go back and look that up. PHP ugly shows 159 open. All right, my friend, I have put.
Right. Here's your driver.
Oh, you're a good man. Actually, Simplecast should be able to tell me how long we've been going, right? That would actually be cool if it said, stream established, whenever your first show was released. Here we go, episodes. All right.
Well, we weren't always on Simplecast, though.
Yeah, but I had to, when I ported us over, I published all the correct times.
March 15th, 2016.
So 3 years.
3
plus years. Wow, look at that. That's crazy, man. I 3+ years of once a week. March 15th, March 19th, March 27th, April 4th, April 10th. Like, we're all like this was when we used to just meet whenever.
Yeah.
May 2nd, May 9th, and then we started it every week. You can kind of see where that starts kicking in. Have you ever gone back? I really want to go back and listen to these now. Listen to 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, God, no.
Come on, man. I wonder if I can play it live. I bet you can set this up to play live. Let me see. Come on. Are you gonna? I'll put you right there. If I turn you on. Alright, let me see if this plays over the stream.
What did it call your mic?
It calls it USB Advanced Audio Devices now. That's what it calls it. Alright, here we go. Episode 1, The Cost of Good Code. Alright, let me turn the music down. Actually, I think we're okay.
No, we're gonna need some intermission music now.
Oh, I don't hear it. I don't think I hooked it up right.
I heard it. I don't want to
hear it. Are you hearing
it?
Oh, wait a second. Okay, now I want to hear it. Hold on. Alright. Let me see.
So that's advanced audio device is a generic
You are listening to the PHP Ugly Podcast, episode 1. Today we're talking about who we...
You might need to reinstall the Yeti drivers.
Oh. You are listening to the PHP Ugly Podcast, episode 1. Today we're talking about who we are, what we do, and what this podcast is. We'll also talk some development and cost of good code. Let's get started. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I don't know how to start it.
Welcome to PHP Ugly.
Yeah. Definitely going to be ugly. What the hell are we doing? What were we thinking when we decided to do this?
I wasn't thinking at all. It's just, yeah, let's do it.
We really need to drink more frequently if we're going to make these poor decisions.
Oh.
I need to schedule the next time we do this on a night where I'm already drinking.
We don't drink as much as we used to.
So,
Oh, I definitely do.
have a quick conversation about who we are. Bring
You don't drink the whiskey as much.
I need to start drinking my scotch again.
This is going to be called PHP Ugly.
Alright, that was funny. Let's go.
Let's go offline for 1 sec. Or let's say goodbye to everybody and then head offline.
But I'm having such a good time. Okay. Alright, thank you everybody for listening. Appreciate it. And talk to you later.
Bye.